Good morning, everyone. We would like to welcome our graduates, families and friends here on what is a very special day for you, your Macquarie University graduation ceremony. Firstly, I would like to ask you all to please ensure that your mobile phone has been switched off. There are a couple of items I need to run through before the ceremony starts. Firstly, you are all welcome to take photographs during the ceremony. However, we do ask that you remain in your seats so that you do not impede the view of the other guests. Under no circumstances should anyone stand in the centre aisle or approach the stage. Please note that this ceremony will be streamed live on the Macquarie University YouTube channel. Should we have a situation that requires us to evacuate the building, please follow the instructions of our security staff. There are 4 exits from the graduation hall, 1 in each corner of the building, 2 in the back corners and 2 in the front. You will also find our safety information on the back page of your program. Plaques, frames and photography services are available in the atrium building next to the refreshments marquee. If you have pre-ordered a frame or plaque, please make sure you collect it there today. In a moment, the Deputy Chancellor of Macquarie University, Ms. Elizabeth Crouch, accompanied by the academic procession, will enter the graduation hall. When the procession has arrived on the stage, Advance Australia Fair will be performed and you are invited in the singing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the academic procession.
Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Tobin, representative of the Darug people, to offer the traditional welcome to country. Mr. Tobin.
Thank you. Budri Mulinawul Nalawa. Good morning and welcome to the lands of the Wallamedigal. I belong to one of the local Aboriginal families of the Darug people, the traditional custodians over this part of the country. I wish to thank the University for their acknowledgement of us and for the invitation to welcome you here today. That acknowledgement is important for our people and much appreciated, particularly by our elders. Education is highly valued in our culture too. Knowledge meant survival, and our elders are traditionally accorded great respect for their accumulated wisdom and experience. My family descend from Yarramundi, a respected elder and cleverman of the Burrabrongal clan during the early years of colonisation. He saw that our survival in this new world could best be secured if we could learn more about it. As such, he enrolled his daughter Maria into the Native Institution, a school set up in 1815 by Governor Macquarie himself, offering formal education to Aboriginal children. Maria studied there for several years and used her newly acquired skills to lobby and ultimately secure some land for herself and her family out along the Richmond Road. Other Aboriginal families soon joined them, and it became known as the Blackstown, where the present-day city of Blacktown gets its name from. We are very proud of her, as I'm sure your families are of you today, and with good reason. For your progress progresses us all. Your advancement is our advancement. And that was perhaps more readily understood in traditional times when camps were smaller and the clan groups abided by strict sharing laws. It meant that the food that you caught and brought back was distributed throughout the rest of the camp. Your skills and good fortune were thus enjoyed by all. Your efforts literally nourished the rest of the community, and you in turn were looked after by them. Yes, we can live quite beautifully when we get clever about it. Our Aboriginal ancestors certainly lived well in many respects, and I use occasions like this to offer them to yourselves as a model or a benchmark, perhaps, on how good to expect our lives today. You see, when Captain Cook arrived here a little over 200 years ago, he described the people he encountered there as one of the happiest people he had met in the world. They had nothing, he wrote, but the tools that they carried. They made shelters from the bark of trees without cutting them down, and harvested food from the land without tilling or clearing the earth. In traditional times, everyone was accorded rights to the country or clan area where he or she was born into. So there is normally no homeless people, and no rich and poor either. Everyone had pretty much the same amount of gear, what you could carry. There were no armies or jails or even police. No history of slavery or empire building. People cooperated to collect the resources which were needed, and then they were shared out according to strict Aboriginal law. Our lands were maintained in their natural state. Rivers were clean and unpolluted, with people drinking out of them here as they have done for the past 20 or 30,000 years. Remember, this is not a dream or an ideal. This was normal life, not so long ago. And there is no reason why we should expect less for ourselves and our children than what our ancestors enjoyed. Admittedly, there's a lot more of us, so we have to get extra clever. But I would say to you, expect great things from your lives and do great things. And together we can put together a country that is beautiful and worthy of our children. We can all do our bit. I'll do mine now by getting off and letting you graduate. Just want to say congratulations to all of you and all the best in our collective futures. Thank you. Welcome to country.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce the Deputy Chancellor of Macquarie University, Elizabeth Crouch. Deputy Chancellor.
Thank you, Chris, for that very warm welcome to country. Graduates, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my great privilege as Deputy Chancellor of Macquarie University to preside at this very important occasion today. First, I welcome our graduates. I hope that this will be a very happy and memorable occasion for all of you. You deserve to take pride, great pride in your graduation today. Completing a degree is never easy. You need an intelligent and inquiring mind. You need determination and perseverance, and you need to make many sacrifices. But all of that hard work has paid off, and I congratulate each and every one of you on your achievements. Today, I also want to especially welcome those of you who are sitting beside and behind our graduates as their invited guests, because you've all done well too. The very fact that you're here, the fact that you've been invited by one of our graduates to share one of the great days of their lives is proof positive that you've been an important influence. So, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, cousins, sons and daughters, grandmothers and grandfathers, friends, husbands and wives, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers, whoever you are, congratulations and thank you for celebrating this great occasion with us. I have another important service for you to perform for our newest graduates. I want you to make sure that the degrees they receive today are never ever put in the bottom drawer, but are always proudly displayed in a position of prominence. In other words, if our newest graduates are too modest to proclaim their success, I want you to do it for them. The ceremony that we're about to participate in is one of the world's oldest social rituals. For centuries, graduates have been donning the robes just like the ones our graduates are wearing today and participating in ceremonies just like this one. Indeed, there are some 50 universities in the world that can trace their history back more than 500 years. Macquarie, by comparison, is relatively young, celebrating our 50-year jubilee just this year. We proudly take our name from Australia's greatest colonial governor, Governor Lachlan Macquarie, a man whose greatness and achievements were never acknowledged by his contemporaries, but only by history. We learnt at school that Macquarie was a great builder, but perhaps his greatest legacy had nothing to do with bricks and mortar. Instead, it lies in his vision for establishing an egalitarian society and the Australian notion of a fair go for all. And it is this legacy that we here at Macquarie strive to maintain and honour. In our first 50 years, we've come a long way. And today in our academic procession, we have someone who can vouch for that. A warm welcome to Dr. Joan Kirby, who was our first PhD graduate. Please join me in giving Joan a round of applause. We now have more than 150,000 graduates across 140 countries. We're a very modern and outward-looking university, and we're regarded as one of Australia's leading research universities, a reputation that we're keen to enhance through the quality of our research, our courses, and our facilities. And we're always ready and eager and willing to engage with the world around us. On your way here today, you may have seen the prestigious Macquarie University Hospital, which is used by students, professional and academic staff in our School of Advanced Medicine. We are proud to say that we're the only university in Australia with our own private hospital. You may also have seen our impressive library, which provides a 21st century learning and research environment and which has the only robotic book retrieval system in Australia. Good one for the kids to go and have a look at. And more recently, our new Advanced Hearing Hub, which is a world-leading institute dedicated to advances in hearing, speech and language sciences. So it's clear we're looking forward and we're on the move. However, some of the things that we value so much about Macquarie will not change. The friendliness of our staff and our students that all of our visitors notice and comment upon will continue, as will the egalitarian vision and values that are such an important part of our heritage. And of course, we will continue to maintain our unique and beautiful park-like grounds that make this campus so enjoyable. All of these things will stay in your mind and remind you of your links with Macquarie, links we hope you will maintain through our alumni network. Remember, you will always be welcome. Here at Macquarie, we have a clear and straightforward mission, and that mission is to transform and improve people's lives, not just for our own students, but also of people all around the globe, by the work and achievement of our students and by the fruits of our research. We want Macquarie to always be a leader in teaching and learning and a leader in the accumulation of knowledge and understanding. In other words, an ideal community of scholars. And in just a few minutes, it will be my very great honour to confer your degrees upon you and welcome you as lifelong members of Macquarie University alumni. It is my great pleasure at today's ceremony, however, to honour, in accordance with the resolution of the University Council, Emeritus Professor Dr Gillian Triggs for admission to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa of Macquarie University. I'd now like to invite the Deputy Chancellor, Academic of Macquarie University, Professor John Simons, to read the citation. Professor Simons.
I invite Emeritus Professor Gillian Triggs to stand for the citation. Emeritus Professor Gillian Triggs has made a lifelong contribution to the protection of human rights and the development of international law as an academic, a barrister, a Dean of Law, and as the President of the Australian Human Rights Commission. She has focused on the implementation in Australian law of the human rights treaties to which Australia is a part, and has worked with nations in the Asia-Pacific region on practical approaches to implementing human rights. She's been an outspoken advocate for the powerless and voiceless, notably asylum seekers, often in the face of strong opposition from governments of all persuasions. In speeches and opinion pieces, she has championed the Commission's call for legislation to protect fundamental freedoms in Australia. She's lobbied against racial vilification and for freedom of speech, human rights and refugee rights. She is highly critical of the government's offshore processing of asylum seekers and supportive of Australia meeting its international obligations in all matters. Professor Triggs graduated from the University of Melbourne Law School in 1968 and gained her PhD in 1982. She's combined an academic career with international commercial legal practice and has worked with governments and international organisations on human rights law, as well as World Trade Organisation law, disputed continental shelf matters and other territorial claims. She served as a barrister in Sydney, as the Governor of the College of Law, and as Director of the prestigious British Institute of International and Comparative Law in London. From 2007 to 2012, she was Dean of the Faculty of Law and Challis Professor of International Law at the University of Sydney, and she is a former Chair of the Council of Australian Law Deans. In a wide-ranging career that has spanned many branches of the legal profession, Professor Triggs has been a consultant on international law to law firms, a board member of the Public Interest Law Clearinghouse, and the Australian representative on the Council of Jurists for the Asia-Pacific Forum for National Human Rights Institutions. She served as chair of the board of the Australian International Health Institute and as a member of the Attorney General's International Legal Service Advisory Council. She has also been honoured as a Foundation Fellow of the Australian Academy of Law. Her long-standing commitment to legal education is evident in her efforts to inform Australians, especially children, about their fundamental human rights. She's the author of a scholarly book on international law and the co-author, editor or co-editor of 4 other books. Professor Triggs commands the highest respect as an Australian lawyer and as an academic. She has demonstrated by example how to join the academy, the practicing profession and government in service to human rights and fundamental freedoms. Deputy Chancellor, it is with extraordinary pleasure that I present to you Gillian Triggs for the award of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Emeritus Professor Dr Gillian Triggs, in the name of the Council and by my authority as Deputy Chancellor, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Dr. I now invite Dr Triggs to deliver our occasional address. Dr Triggs.
Deputy Chancellor, members of faculty, distinguished guests, and very importantly, today's graduates and your families and friends. I'm very privileged indeed to receive this degree honoris causa, and I thank you very much indeed for the honour that you've given me. And I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet on this beautiful campus and respect their elders past and present. May I warmly congratulate the new graduates on this very special day. Macquarie University both recognises your academic achievements and the start of the next step in your lifelong learning and careers. While you've finished your last exams or written your last thesis papers, doubtless a relief to you and to your families, the fact is that you've just started on a rich and rewarding journey. And my message today is, whatever and wherever your path takes you, try to give effect to the values of social justice and respect for the rule of law, for which Macquarie University is especially well known in Australia. For we do live in troubling times. Governments throughout the world are responding to threats and acts of horrifying terror and injustice. Over the last few months and indeed recent days, we've seen unprecedented efforts by the Australian government to expand its executive discretion and to oust the jurisdiction and oversight of the courts. 2 tranches of anti-terrorism laws have just been introduced into Australia's Parliament, one of which passed yesterday, that strike a new balance between the right of the sovereign state to defend its citizens and the need to protect our fundamental freedoms. It's more important than ever that we support the rule of law and our courts in applying the common law principles to protect the fundamental rights of us all. The proposed anti-terrorism laws create a new crime of encouraging terrorist acts, lowers the arrest threshold for arrests without warrant, alters the traditional burden of proof by placing an evidentiary burden on the accused, allows ASIO to issue warrants for searches of computer networks for 2 years standing without judicial oversight, gives immunity from prosecution to intelligence officials, and permits the suspension of passports. These proposed laws suggest to me that we need to be more vigilant in ensuring that we respond in a balanced and fair way to the terrorism threat, and that we respect all religious and ethnic groups within Australia's successful multicultural society. But when considering these weighty questions of the rule of law, there's really no better place to start than remembering that next year is the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta, signed very reluctantly by King John at the demand of his rebellious feudal barons in 1215. And buried in the middle of this foundational document of English constitutional law, setting out the single measure for wine and ale and the rights of widows on the death of their husband, are these words: "No free man is to be taken or imprisoned or disseized of his liberties or in any way ruined, save by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. To no one will we sell or deny or delay right or justice." Well, these words ring through the centuries, and the right not to be detained arbitrarily is reflected in every common and civil law system in the world. But sadly, this principle has not always been given effect by governments or courts. Under Australia's asylum seeker policy and the terms of the Migration Act, the government detains asylum seekers and their children who arrive by boat without a visa, and it does so on average for over a year and very often for many years. Currently, we have 3,600 men, women and children held in detention camps in Australia, Christmas Island and Nauru without charge and without trial. And Australians may well ask why the prohibition against arbitrary detention in the Magna Carta or the writ of habeas corpus, bringing forth the body to the court, are not available to challenge asylum seeker detention, especially when they haven't been charged or given a judicial trial. And an answer lies in the almost unique phenomenon that Australia has very few constitutional provisions to protect human rights, other than the well-known one of the right to freedom of religion, and another right implied by the High Court, the right of political communication. Unlike every other common law country in the world, we have no bill or charter of rights or regional human rights system. While Australia has ratified most human rights treaties, they have little effect on our domestic laws, where Parliament does not implement them by legislation. And indeed, most have never been implemented into Australian law. Moreover, if Australian legislation is clear and unambiguous, it will almost invariably trump any comparable or contrary common law principle. And I'd like very briefly to look at two cases that illustrate what I see as a fascinating struggle between the government on the one hand with Parliament and the High Court of Australia on the other, a struggle that our judges have to ensure that fundamental common law freedoms continue to apply. Not at all unlike that great struggle in the early 17th century between King James I and Sir Edmund Coke, of the Chief Justice of the Court of Common Pleas. The first case I wanted to mention was decided by the High Court 10 years ago, and it concerned Ahmed al-Khatib. He was a young man, a Palestinian, born in Kuwait, seeking asylum in Australia, coming here through a very, by now, known route. But he was legally stateless, and no country would accept him, and the Australian government held him in detention indefinitely for nearly 5 years. When lawyers challenged his detention in the High Court, a majority of judges decided that the Migration Act gave the minister, the immigration minister, a valid power to detain him for administrative immigration purposes, even if the consequence was indefinite. That is, as no other country would accept him without some nationality, he could be held in closed detention forever. As the words of the Migration Act were unambiguous, and where the will of the democratically elected Parliament is clear, said the court, the common law presumption that a man cannot be detained without charge or trial doesn't apply. This was probably a low point for human rights law in Australia, although I have to be fair and say that the outcome was that some weeks later the minister released al-Khatib, and he now lives, I understand, very happily on a humanitarian visa in Australia and has done for a long time. But the law remains the same. It is possible under the Migration Act to hold without charge or trial indefinitely, so long as it pleases the minister. But a few days ago, the High Court of Australia reasserted the common law right not to be detained arbitrarily in a case called very simply Plaintiff S4. In a strong and unanimous judgment of the court, it found that the Migration Act does not authorise the detention of an asylum seeker at the unconstrained discretion of the government. Rather, an alien, whether in Australia lawfully or not, is not an outlaw, said the court, and he or she cannot be detained other than in accordance with the law. And this plaintiff's story is quite typical. He arrived by boat in Christmas Island, stateless and without a visa, and he was detained for over 2 years under the Migration Act, despite the fact that in his case he met the definition of a refugee and all the character and health requirements. The minister, after over 2 years, chose to grant the plaintiff a temporary visa for 7 days. But here is the catch. Had the plaintiff accepted the visa, he would have been barred from making any future application for a permanent visa. And indeed, it was agreed by all parties before the High Court that this was the minister's objective. Well, the High Court denied the validity of this strategy and decided that any decision whether a permanent visa could be applied for must be made as soon as is reasonably practicable. Well, we don't know, of course, what reasonably practicable is going to mean in any one case, but one might surmise that to hold somebody for more than 2 years without making that decision does not meet that test. In future, our courts may require speedy decision-making by government ministers that does not leave asylum seekers in mandatory detention for unreasonable periods of time. Yet another and tantalising aspect of the High Court's judgment was its recognition that it might, in the future, compel a minister to respect the right to liberty. Such direct language on common law language rights is rare in the history of the courts. The stories of al-Khatib and of Plaintiff S4 are but two stories of many thousands in Australia today, but it does seem, just in the last few days, that the time-honoured principle enshrined in the Magna Carta remains alive within Australian common law to prevent arbitrary detention under the guise of executive discretion. There are many challenges for your new professional lives as graduates of this university. A challenge to find that magical sweet spot, a fair balance between our ancient and modern freedoms and the rights of a government to protect national security and our borders. As you explore your pathway in the future, I know you will retain the ethics and values of this fine Macquarie University to reach evidence-based opinions, to speak truth to power, and to exercise eternal vigilance in protecting the rule of law in Australia. Congratulations on your graduation, and I wish you every success in your futures. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Gillian, for those very timely words. One wonders what Governor Macquarie would make of our current dilemma. I think it's a very timely reminder for all of us about the critical importance of the rule of law. So please join me again in thanking Dr. Gillian Trigg. As Deputy Chancellor of Macquarie University, I especially look forward to presiding at ceremonies such as today's and conferring degrees and diplomas on those who have complied with the university's requirements for such awards. But before I do so, I need to make sure that all of you have done everything that you were supposed to do, that you've been to every lecture, you've submitted every assignment, you've never been late for class. I hope you're all nodding there, are you? Good. I'm now going to call on the Deputy Registrar, Jonathan Wiley, to formally certify your eligibility to make sure you've met all of those requirements. Jonathan.
Deputy Chancellor, I certify that all candidates who are presented here today and those who are absent have satisfied the requirements of the Academic Senate for the degrees and diplomas they are to be awarded. Would all candidates for admission to degrees and diplomas please now stand?
In the name of the Macquarie University Council and by my authority as Deputy Chancellor, I admit each of you present and those who are absent to the degrees and diplomas for which you have qualified. Congratulations. Please join me in giving them a round of applause.
Please be seated. Deputy Chancellor, the graduates of this ceremony are from the Faculty of Arts and in particular the Macquarie Law School. The Macquarie Law School was established in 1972 as the third law school in Sydney and admitted its first students in 1975. A hallmark of the programs in the school is a commitment to the interdisciplinary study of the law, designed to foster a sound understanding of legal doctrine as well as an awareness of the role of law in society and a developed sense of social responsibility. Deputy Chancellor, I now call on Professor Natalie Klein, Head of the Department for Policing, Intelligence and Counter-Terrorism for the Faculty of Arts, to present the graduates and diplomates. Professor Klein.
Deputy Chancellor, I present to you the graduates from the Faculty of Arts whom you have admitted to degrees or awarded diplomas. I present the graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Laws with honours. Lachlan Elliott Doyle. Oi Yi Janice Fung. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Laws with first-class honours, Stephen Joseph Canton. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Hani Ahankub. Lena Madeline Chappell. Justin Fazzolari. Angus Patrick Ferguson. Michele Izzo. Jiao Li. Well done. Edward Malcolm Mackenzie. Well done. Wei Cheng Zheng. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Psychology with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Tamron Lee Beveridge. Sarah Kalinger. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Robert John Breckenridge. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce with the Bachelor of Laws with first-class honours, Sleiman Majdou. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Helen Ann Pong. Well done. Charles Weber. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce Professional Accounting with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Ruchi Trivedi. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of International Studies with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Monica Deung. Well done. Michaela Nicholson. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Media with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Jessica Brooke Taylor. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, Prudence Elizabeth Roberts. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Social Science with the Bachelor of Laws with honours, David John Cambridge. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Laws with First Class Honours, Kai Andrew Scholter. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Laws with honours, Ryan James Dorai. Well done. Jennifer Mary Lacey. Christopher William Larkins. Amy Patterson. Well done. Congratulations. Bo Tarlan. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Honours Degree of Bachelor of Ancient History with First Class Honours, Jacinta Grace Carruthers. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Laws, Jeremy Robert Lagaida. Well done. Andrew Bing Phai Lee. David Trong. Philip Yufei Wang. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Commerce, Michael David Limburg. Benjamin Kevin McCrum. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Laws, Michael Jarjar. Ka Yi Khan. Siobhan Lisa McGreal. Monique Morgan. Louise Nassif. Fatima Ralph. Mandeep Jaswal. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Psychology with the Bachelor of Laws, Niranjana Bhattacharjee. Natalie Ghazal. Cheryl Kurana. Prezelia Melham. Bernadette Toison. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration with the Bachelor of Laws. Hannah Louise Emerson. Hugh Williams Riley. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce with the Bachelor of Laws. Lisa Marie Bowler. Han Chiao Chen. Rhiannon Caitlin Cunningham. Bradley Paul Elias. Henry Jia Hao Lu. Janet Frances Tan. Joanne Yarp. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce Marketing with the Bachelor of Laws. Lara Biggs. Well done. Wong Yong Choi. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Environmental Management with the Bachelor of Laws, Amy May Griffiths. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Information Technology with the Bachelor of Laws, Vanessa Alam. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of International Studies with the Bachelor of Laws. Joanna Ross Kalauti. Hey Man Jason Leo. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Media with the Bachelor of Laws, Logan Thomas Mead. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science with the Bachelor of Laws, Amy Marie Calantes. Shirley Xiang. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Social Science with the Bachelor of Laws, Alyssa Boyd. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Ancient History, Fiona Alexandra Susan Hurrell. Well done. Sarah Elizabeth Piper. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Rachel Elizabeth Adams. Well done. Kim Adby. Well done. Leader Ali Hosseini. Well done. Emily Ann Amber. Well done. Georgia Grace Bell. Well done. Christian Borg. Well done. Edwina Isabel Chappell. Well done. Jill Eleanor Chapman.
Well done.
Sarah Clark.
Well done.
Dolores Corral Prado.
Well done.
Hugh Michael Crundwell.
Well done.
Christy Patrick Doran.
Well done.
Alevi Figueroa.
Well done.
Erin Louise Grimshaw.
Well done.
Michael Hancock. Timothy Banny Haywood.
Well done.
Helen Margaret Hoare.
Well done.
Saya Hussain.
Well done.
David William Jacker.
Well done.
Jessica Lay. Sarah Ashley Little.
Well done.
Enrico Lucarini.
Well done.
Benjamin Thomas McKay. Charlotte Elizabeth Newell. Michael John Nichols. Yvette Michelle Pratt. Well done. Nina Ravenscroft. Mark William Rayner. Fiona Ross. Well done. Bianca Leah Rawley. Jacqueline Roachball. Paul Semmons. Well done. Naomi Ruth Simmons. Well done. Jasbinder Kaur Singh. Well done. Bruce Richard Watt. Well done. Thomas Wilder. Well done. Amina Yatin. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Laws. Stuart Ellis Bailey. Well done. Amy Lee Barsha. Well done. Jacqueline Bui. Well done. Belinda Zhao. Well done. Ai Ting Chan. Stephen Dayan. Laura Hugh. Well done. Patrick Yagashevsky. Well done. Vincent Anthony Maney. Well done. Niels Richard Miller. Evelyn Louise Nicole. Well done. Hannah Osborne. Well done. Adam Lindsay Peter Schofield. Well done. Sophie Swart. Bernard Lawrence Underwood. Well done. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Social Science, Maxwell Joseph Salou Van Day. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of International Communication with the Master of International Relations, Sumeda Krishna Pagadala. Well done. Huang An Kwa Trong. Well done. Di Yao. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of International Relations with the Master of International Trade and Commerce Law. Anita Svitkovic. Well done. Iori Hin Yeung Ha. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Arts. Scott Damien Andrews. Well done. Daniel Arthur Bush. Adam Jetson, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Berna Graciela Coxal. Well done. Marco Anthony Scarley. Well done. Andrew Ross Smythe Kirk. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Environmental Law, Sarah Joan Joyce. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of International Environmental Law, Ana Maria Jaregi de la Mota. Well done. Arada Nantakweng. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of International Relations, Riccardo Bassetti. Well done. Chung Wen-Chi Candace. Sonia Garib. Carlos Andres Moreno Cortes. Hermine Felizon. Chetana Pradhan. Senka Subotic. Yang Bing Yang. Well done. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of International Trade and Commerce Law. Ez Aldim Hamdi Adwan Al-Mashake. Georgia Brown. Jing Huang. Lukas Jakobik. Yilin Nier. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Policy and Applied Social Research. Emma Louise Bedouin. Christopher John Helmund, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present the diplomate awarded the Postgraduate Diploma of Politics and Public Policy, John Adua Deng. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Dr. Tanzim Afroz, for a thesis entitled Climate Development Integrated Approach in Coastal Management of Bangladesh, Legal and Policy Responses. Just a parental advisory on our next thesis title. For those of you with small children in the room, this might be a good time to distract them or cover little ears. I present Dr. Nicholas Con Aperfis for a thesis entitled Fuck May 68, Fight Now, Athenian Anarchists and Anti-Authoritarians, Militant Ethnography and Collective Identity Formation. Dr. Bruce Albert Ballantyne Jones, for a thesis entitled Changes in Policy and Practices in the Anglican Diocese of Sydney 1966 to 2013, The Political Factor. Dr. Richard Lee Birchfield, for a thesis entitled Networks of the Theban Desert, Social, Economic and Religious Interactions in Late Byzantine and Early Islamic Thebes. Well done. Dr. Elisa Marie de Corsi, for a thesis entitled The Photographic Encounter, Picturing Difference and Distinction in Metropolitan England and in the Early 20th Century English Travelogue. Dr. Glenn Deason, for a thesis entitled Interdemocratic Security Institutions and the Security Dilemma, EU and NATO Relations with Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Dr. James Edward Gibson, for a thesis entitled The Development of the Sensus Divinitatis and its Application to the Propagation of the Christian Gospel, Case Studies of the Divine Sense in Western Christian Thought. Well done. Dr. John Perry Hamilton, for a thesis entitled Adjudication on the Goldfields in New South Wales and Victoria in the 19th Century. Dr. Virginia Marshall, for a thesis entitled A Web of Aboriginal Water Rights, examining the competing Aboriginal claim for water property rights and interests in Australia. Dr. Anna Latifa Murad, for a thesis entitled Rise of the Hyksos, Egypt and the Levant from the Middle Kingdom to the Early Second Intermediate Period. Dr. Mohammed Nasrullah Naqib, for a thesis entitled Regulating Foreign Direct Investment for Development, Bangladesh in Context. Well done. Dr. Pradeep Royhan, for a thesis entitled Environmental Requirements in International Trade under the World Trade Organization, Market Access Implications for Bangladesh. Dr. Maxwell Francis Taylor, for a thesis entitled The Politics of Bail Reform, the New South Wales Bail Act 1976 to 2013. Well done. Dr. Stephen Rex Townsend, for a thesis entitled The Regulation of Auditor Ethical Behaviour in Australia, the Problem of Conflicts of Interest and Proposal for Structural Reform. Well done. Sony. Thank you. Dr. James George McLean Sonis, for a thesis entitled Don't Say All Religions Are Equal Unless You Really Mean It, John Hick, The Axial Age and the Academic Study of Religion. Deputy Chancellor, that completes this morning's presentation of the graduates from the Faculty of Arts.
Deputy Chancellor, I now invite the new PhD students who have graduated today and joined us on the stage to please stand. And I would ask the congregation gathered to join us in congratulating them on joining the academic procession. Please take your seats. I now call on Mr. Marco Anthony Scali, who graduated today with a Master of Arts, to give the graduate response on behalf of our graduating group. Mr. Scali.
Deputy Chancellor, members of the University, fellow graduates and guests, I am humbled by the opportunity to speak on behalf of all of us and undoubtedly the greatest faculty of all, the Faculty of Arts. Hear, hear. Now, before I commence, I would just like to take a moment to congratulate all the graduates. Today is a day that should be revered and treasured by you. It has come as a result of years of determination and perseverance, and for that you should all be proud. So, in trying to think of what best to say as a graduate speaker, it dawned on me that the one thing I could talk about with a small degree of authority would be some of the lessons I have learned in the years between my time as an undergrad and my postgrad degree. In these years, by the way, I've been a history teacher, and I still am. So at this important juncture for many of us, it is important to reflect on the fact that we still have much to learn. And whilst I may have a decade more experience than most undergrads, that by no means makes me any authority on anything. Nevertheless, I have tried to summarize 7 things I have learned since I was an undergrad. 7 things because, of course, 7 is a lucky number, and we'll all need a good dose of luck from this point on. So, lesson 1. It is okay to make mistakes. In fact, probably the next 10 years could be all about mistakes and false starts. Think of life as the game Angry Birds. So for those of you that don't know, Angry Birds is a game played on a smartphone or an iPad that requires you to catapult said angry birds at targets. If the birds hit the targets, you progress to the next level. If not, you stay put. So, what deep philosophical meaning does Angry Birds hold, you ponder? Well, it is like life, in that you rarely hit the targets the first time. Sometimes it can take days of retrying to line up your birds the right way so that you can progress to the next stage. In other words, you only work things out after making mistakes with your Angry Birds over and over. Lesson 2. When you face difficulty in life, never ever give up. Now, I'm not talking here about the difficulties that face us whilst we play Angry Birds. I'm talking about real difficulties. Disappointment and pain will inevitably arise, and when they do, your mind will tell you all sorts of crap. Don't listen to this rubbish. You have a purpose, and you have to be around to fulfill it. Things will get better in time. It may take years, but they will get better, so you need to hang in there to see those good times. Lesson 3, try hard, but not too hard. Set short-term goals and work towards achieving them, but try not to become obsessed about reaching them. Things change, life is messy. Things tend to happen when you let go of wanting them so much. 10 years ago, if someone told me this, I would have deflected their comments with a cynical sneer, but now I know it to be true. And lesson 4, trust your instinct. Instinct is the most underrated and least examined sense we own. Whatever you thought or felt at the beginning of something is usually right. First impressions are correct. Lesson 5, value your support network. Homo sapiens are not a solitary animal. We need others. We need community. Cherish those who genuinely care about you because they will be the ones who will be there when times get tough. Lesson 6, find role models and learn from them. Role models will show you the path to take when you are lost. And you will be lost. They are like guides who can direct you because they have trodden the path before you. Finally, lesson 7, in no order of priority, just keep learning. Learning is undoubtedly the best thing life has to offer. If you are graduating with a bachelor degree, don't stop there. Work, travel, do what you want, but do more study in the future. Doing my MA was the best decision I ever made, and I'm not just saying that because someone told me to. So, to conclude, there is no doubt that all of us today have been given a great responsibility. In ancient or medieval times, education was the privilege of a few, and thus societies were commonly run in the interests of these social elites. With the modern democratization of education, we are now all in a powerful social position. However, I would like to think that we have come a long way from the times where those with intellectual power use their strength to simply benefit themselves. Like in Angry Birds, there it is again. Surely we can now find a way to progress to the next stage of human social development by correcting the mistakes of the past. We just can't keep missing the targets. Our responsibility as arts graduates is to ensure that with our power, we create a society, a country, a world where all people are considered, not just ourselves. Again, I would like to extend my congratulations to all the graduates and their families, but also to the academics that have taught us along the way. I know that teaching is sometimes a selfless task, so I think it would be remiss of us all not to acknowledge the fine work done by the passionate and dedicated individuals who have taught us and are behind us. I thank you all for listening, and I wish you all the very best in your futures. Best of luck.
Marco, thank you so much for that speech. I am thinking now that Angry Birds have a very prominent place in history and that we should be able to weave that into the curriculum. So thank you for that, but also for your reflections, your 7 lessons. I think they're very powerful reminders to all of us that we are the sum of almost our mistakes, and that's the way we learn. So please join me again in thanking Marco for this wonderful address. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the wonderful Angela Brewer. Would you like to hear her again? Well, there's one thing you need to do, and that is to sign up to another degree, turn up here again, and you'll get to hear her. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our appreciation again to Angela Brewer for that superb performance. Please also join me in thanking our musicians, organist Dr. James Forsyth, and our flautist, Dr. Chai Chang Ning. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the representatives of our alumni community, many of whom have come here today to help you celebrate this important occasion. They're the people who've got the Ask Me symbol on their lapels, and they spend their time making sure we're all shepherded into the right spots and on the right time. So please join me in thanking our alumni community. As part of this graduation ceremony, we honour a team of staff from the Faculty of Arts who have been awarded the 2014 Vice-Chancellor's Award for programs that enhance learning. I'll now call on the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic of Macquarie University, Professor John Simons, to read the citation. Professor Simons.
Deputy Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Michaela Baker to stand. The award for programmes that enhance student learning is presented to the members of the Professional and Community Engagement, PACE, Ethics Protocol Working Party, Dr. Michaela Baker, Alison Beale, Erin Corduroy, Laura Hammersley, Dr. Kate Lloyd, Dr. Kath McLaughlin, Sean Payne, Dr. Anna-Louise Semple and Dr. Carolyn White, several of whom are seated in the front row of our audience today. This multidisciplinary and cross-faculty team includes members of academic and professional staff who came together, and their objective was to build the capacity of students to respond to PACE-related ethical complexities. Informed by existing studies, the Working Party collaboratively developed two distinct but interrelated responses that met this objective. The first is a multidisciplinary and flexible set of learning and teaching resources called the PACE Ethical Practice Module. This is an innovative approach to student learning because it integrates aspects of ethics education that are not usually presented in a single module. The second is the development of the PACE Ethics Protocol, a streamlined and centrally administered ethics framework aimed at ensuring consistent ethical understanding and practice by PACE students, unit conveners and partner organisations. The protocol ensures risks are mitigated, that PACE experiences are enriching and worthwhile for all stakeholders, and that students are being prepared for the world beyond the university. Chancellor, I present to you Dr. Michaela Baker, who today collects the Vice-Chancellor's Award for Programmes that Enhance Learning on behalf of the Ethics Protocol Working Party. All team members are truly worthy recipients of this award.
Let's give them a round of applause, shall we? Well done. Thank you. Graduates, this ceremony marks the end of one stage of your relationship with Macquarie University, but it's certainly not the end of your association with us. From today on and for the rest of your lives, you will be part of the bigger Macquarie family, our alumni, and part of a network of more than 150,000 Macquarie graduates spanning the globe. We'll keep in touch with you through our Alumni Relations Office and hope that you will come back here to attend functions, to undertake more study, or simply to visit this beautiful campus. We might even put you to work with our colleagues here helping us with graduations. Graduates, the award of a university degree carries many opportunities and privileges, but like all privileges, it also carries responsibilities. I urge you to commit yourselves to a program of lifelong learning and inquiry, to set ambitious goals for yourselves, and to always continue the hard work that has already brought you so far. I challenge you to continue to exercise sound judgment and initiative, and to always be generous in offering practical advice and wisdom to those you meet on life's journey. My hope is that as graduates of Macquarie University, you will use what you have learned not only for your own benefit, but also for the betterment of the whole community. Believe it or not, you, each and every one of you, can change the world. And you don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner to do it. Because in almost everything you do, in your homes, in your workplaces, in your communities, all of those things matter and can make a huge difference. The consequences of every effort, every action, large or small, can reverberate through society, through the decades, indeed through the centuries. Even something as simple as a kind word or a gesture can be the spark that ignites a great life, a great career, a great achievement. And in all you do, I ask you to uphold the good name of Macquarie University. I hope that you will also always remember the people who have helped you along the way, many of whom are here with you today. So to acknowledge their contribution and to thank them for it, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. First of all, I would like all our newest graduates to please stand. Now I'd like you to place your degrees on your seats so that your hands are free. I want you to turn around and face your family and friends and give them a hearty round of applause. Now you can turn around now, but don't sit down yet. I'd like you to do the same for our colleagues who are on the dais with me, many of whom are representatives of the academic staff who have supported you on your journey. Please join me in thanking them. Now you can be seated. Excellent. Shortly, I'll lead the official party, and it will be my great honour to invite our newest graduates and their family and friends to join us for refreshments overlooking the lake. But before I do so, I'd like to wish you all the best for your futures and conclude with the words of an old Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Congratulations and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession will now leave the graduation hall through the centre aisle and will be followed by our graduates. Please now stand and remain standing until the last of the graduates have processed out.